balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone. Wow, that's kind of weird. Anyway, all right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective with me, Rick Thomas. Yeah, I was just noticing that my chat, X chat, has a bit of an interesting reaction in my not collaborator, collator program, the one that grabs all of the chats from all of the outlets and kind of collates them all into one and allows me, of course, to put them on the screen. It shows two entries for X, but anyway, that's weird. Anyway, not a problem. All right, so hey, it's Friday, TGIF. Yay. Hello there, US Abby Girl. And, of course, Bonnie and Buddy Weiser. Let's see who else is in there. I don't think I've seen anybody else pop in over on the Rumble just yet, other than you folks. And then, of course, over on Facebook, we have Tommy and Mark and Joan as well. So they're all over there. Thank you very much for joining. Haven't seen anybody pop into X yet, but that's just how X is. They don't talk much over there. They watch, but they don't talk. Just kind of interesting. I think it's because the chat is something new to X, and so not everybody knows about it. And maybe it doesn't even come up on like a regular phone app. It's yeah. Well, hello there, JLQ or. Yeah, JLQUE, JLQ. All right. Anyway, well, yeah. So, oh my gosh. Well, we've already had some record setting things. I'll get to those in a minute. In some of the early voting, I received, and of course my whole family received them all in the mail. But because here in Washington we do all mail-in voting, the Democrat leftist lunatics here in the state of Washington, and yes, I can say that because not only do I live here, but it is true. So anyway, what they end up doing is they ended up a while back, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, something like that. They ended up switching to all mail-in voting. And to be honest, I actually think that Washington was the proving grounds for some of the shenanigans that you've seen running around in the voting today, mostly just because of the fact that, you know, we seem to have a very complacent body of people here in the Northwest. They don't necessarily, how shall I say this? We don't necessarily buck the trend in a lot of places around here. It's just sort of, we just go with the flow, man. We're like California, but better, because we're north. You know what I mean? Anyway, sorry, that was my attempt at a well, I won't call it an impression. We'll just leave it at that. All right. So let's go ahead and get this thing kicked off. Tonight, we have, for the Pledge of Allegiance, we have leading us, and I haven't seen her pop in yet, so she'll probably pop in a little bit later. We have Coco, Cam, and Sean. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with Sean in particular, Sean is autistic. He is mostly nonverbal, but occasionally when he is really into something, say for an example, the Pledge of Allegiance to our country, he loves that. He will verbalize, and you'll hear him in the beginning, you'll hear him at the end, and in between, he kind of gets so excited that he drops into his typical nonverbal state. And so that's what you'll hear in the middle. Not a big deal. The guy's he just loves America, loves the Pledge of Allegiance, and is just he's just great. I got to get him something. I got to get him and Coco and Cam all something. I'm sure I'll figure something out here pretty soon. But anyway, there we are. We have Coco, Cam, and Sean leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So please, if you are of mind, stand. Remove your hat if you're wearing one. And if not wearing one, then definitely place your hand over your heart and let's go and follow along with Coco, Cam, and Sean in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Coco, Cam, and Sean, thank you very much for that rousing rendition of the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would like to get your Pledge of Allegiance rendition or recitation played here on the program, all you have to do is record yourself doing it. Once you record yourself, you take that audio file and you attach it to an email, just like you do any other attachment. You attach it to an email and you send it off to me. Send it to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans at AmericanPerspective.online. And I will get that audio file, do what I need to do with it, and put it into the rotation so you too can hear yourself reciting the Pledge of Allegiance right here on the program. We do that every single time we start the show. Well, almost every single time when I'm not being a dunderhead and forgetting to do it. But anyway. All right. Tonight's sponsor is based off of the shirt that I'm wearing right here. This is the... I'm trying to get it up here. This is the Mount Rushmore shirt. This is the Mount Rushmore men's cotton polo from theflagshirt.com. That's theflagshirt.com. You can go there and check out all of their wonderful styles. They've got some fantastic styles for fall right now. They have pullovers, 3/4 zip, half zip, pullovers. I think they're actually half zip. I don't know if they're 3/4, but half zip. They've got hoodies. They've got things in the red, white, and blue. They've got stuff like mine, the polos for the men. They also have women's shirts and kids apparel as well. Not to mention the fact, but they also have a bunch of accessories too, like hats, scarves, hats, socks is what I meant to say, not scarves, but hats, socks. I think they have a tie or two. You can go and check it all out at theflagshirt.com. And theflagshirt.com, by the way, if you order $75 or more, they'll give you free shipping. This is a veteran-owned company here, people, and it is incredibly, incredibly good product stuff. I mean, good stuff. I wear their shirts almost every single night, and I'm being asked to put a link in the chat here. So let me just go ahead and do it right now. Theflagshirt.com. There it is. There it is. Yep. www.theflagshirt.com is where you would be if you wanted to do www. I don't even think, I don't even bother with that anymore. The browsers just sort of like interpret it. They know what it is and they go. You no longer have to do like the World Wide Web thing. But anyway, as I was saying, they have free shipping on orders that are over $75 or more. But if you do not want to, spend $75 because Bidenomics has hit your pocketbook, which totally makes sense, all you need to do is head over to flagshirt.americanperspective.online. That's flagshirt.americanperspective.online. When you do that, you'll be presented with a coupon code. Copy that coupon code, put it in the promo box at checkout at theflagshirt.com. So once again, flagshirt.americanperspective.online. You'll get a coupon code. Copy that coupon code, put it in the promo box at checkout at theflagshirt.com, and you will get $5 off your order. Go to theflagshirt.com, check out all of their styles, and get yourself patriotized. All right, spent plenty of time on that. Anyway, all right, well, record-setting paces are occurring in early voting. And I am telling you right now, folks, even though, the fam got their ballots in the mail, and we're not really supposed to, we can wait until November 5th. We're going to get it this weekend. I'm trying to get the whole family to vote by this weekend. Bank your votes early, folks. I'm telling you. We have no other choice. We have to win this election, because if we do not win this election, who knows if we're ever going to have another one. And by that, I mean, if Kamala Harris and Tim Walz get in, who knows if this channel will even exist after the election, or Rumble will even exist after the election. You have got to get it in. You've got to send it in as soon as you can. If you don't have early voting, then make sure you go to the voting places early, because I'm telling you, we cannot risk it. We cannot risk it at all. Okay. So, for all of those states that are not mandatory mail-in voting, make sure that you go and do your vote in person if you want. However you want to do it, but don't wait. Do not wait. This is not a year that we can be complacent on this. In fact, I am hoping and anticipating that this is going to be one of the largest turnouts in recorded history, because that's how important this election actually is. That's how important it is for us to make sure that the Marxist leftist Democrat Party goes down in flames as far and as hard as they can. And I'm not just talking about the presidency, although the presidency is a very important spot. It is also very important to vote properly down ballot too, because we have to make sure that we do our best to retain our majority in the House of Representatives, get that Senate, as we're currently scheduled to potentially do, get that in the Senate, and then also provide Donald Trump the opportunity to have a full carte blanche Republican setup across all the houses for the minimum of 2 years, because that's all that we have. When we get into a midterm election, the midterms are probably going to end up, let's just say it, not going our way. And so if we can get all three houses, in this election, I honestly believe that we will have only 2 years to fix the stuff that is going on. Okay, we need to make sure that we vote. We have got to vote. We've got to vote early. We've got to bank our votes because of all of the shenanigans that are likely to happen as we get closer and closer to Election Day. Don't be surprised if you hear on Election Day of things like what they did with, water main breaks, voting machines being out of ballots, out of paper, internet connectivity problems. In fact, there was even some indication at one point that there may be an internet outage on Election Day. Now, these election machines shouldn't actually be connected to the internet, to be honest with you. I don't know why they would be. But apparently some of them are, some states do, and connect them so that they can send and transmit their vote tallies. We need to make sure that all of that stuff is avoided, completely avoided. Do it, get in there, vote early, as early as you feel comfortable. Vote early, and let's bank our votes. Let's bank the votes. Bank them, bank them, bank them. Now, all of that being said, Georgia has early voting going on right now. And, here we go. We've got Joan Adams over on Facebook. And she's saying that already here in Ohio, the mail-ins are messed up. Printed wrong. Yeah. Yep. Well, not only that, but you also have to consider, too, Georgia had that judge. Georgia had the judge go in and turn over some of the changes that the Georgia elections was attempting to do in order to shore up their elections. So, and Georgia is a key state. Now, as I was getting ready to say, Georgia is a key state, but it's a key state, and yet they're on a record-setting pace. Here in the Epic Times, record-setting pace, more than 600,000 ballots have already been cast in Georgia early voting. 600,000 ballots have already been cast in Georgia early voting. Georgia's Secretary of State office said on October 17th that residents are casting early voting ballots in record numbers for 2024's election, noting that more than 600,000 early and mail-in votes have been confirmed as of October 16th. Gabrielle Sterling, the office's chief operations officer, wrote on the social media platform X, "We are approaching 590,000 early votes cast with 34,272 accepted absentee ballots already." So that's 620,000 votes cast in Georgia, and the state has already an 8.6% voter turnout so far. Sterling described those numbers as being massive. Massive numbers. Sterling wrote in a separate comment, "We continue on the record-setting pace, and we are thankful for our election workers at the counties and our voters." Now, he obviously didn't break any of that stuff down in terms of, demographics or, any other data. But that being said, this is a very, very good sign. Rather than what happened in 2020, where, Donald Trump kind of messed up. He kind of messed up, and that's how we ended up with Raphael Warnock over Herschel Walker. But all of that being said, this is looking positive for a lot of people. That's assuming, of course, that the demographics have shifted, because it is traditionally Democrats who vote by mail and vote early. Republicans tend to hold off and believe, because, let's face it, a lot of us, the vast majority of us, work during the day. And so typically you would get those early voters, people who don't necessarily work, who just go and do it and get it out of the way, whatever. And then the Republicans end up getting a massive wave coming in on election day itself. Not to mention the fact that many of us believe that election day should be the only day that is voting. But we're not in normal times. We're not in normal times here, people. This is a huge election. The biggest one I can say for darn certain, one of the biggest ones of my lifetime, for sure. And so we need, without any choices, we need to get this done. We need to get it done. Well, there is an interesting conundrum, speaking of Georgia. Here in the Washington Free Beacon, remember how I've been telling you how Kamala Harris has been bleeding black male voters, black male voters in particular. Well, here in the Washington Free Beacon, I'll definitely take Trump over Harris. Black voters in Georgia express buyer's remorse with Biden-Harris. Black men in battleground Georgia, many of whom voted for President Joe Biden in 2020, are now turning to the Republican nominee, Donald Trump, expressing buyer's remorse over the Biden-Harris administration. And this is coming from Politico. Remember that Bullshitico, the left-wing newspaper? Left-wing propagandist outlet? Yeah. So Arthur Beauford, who is a black 28-year-old and whose family is Democrat all the way, self-described, said, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of Trump, but I'll definitely take Trump over Harris. That's the kind of attitude that we need. Because this isn't about whether you like the person. It's whether or not you like their policies. You never really should vote for the individual because, I mean, let's face it, they're going to come, they're going to go, they're going to, they're not, in terms of the president, they're only going to be there for the maximum of 8 years. But the point is, though, is that this is the election. The election. Whether you believe the Democrats or whether you believe the Republicans, this is the election. And that's what needs to happen. Now, Beauford said that Harris wasn't qualified to be president as she, quote, just seems to have been given everything in her career. He's not wrong. He is not wrong there. And I've been telling you about it on this program. All of the conservative pundits out there have been saying the exact same thing. This woman is not fit to be president. She's not qualified. All of her extemporaneous interviews that she's had, even on Friendly Network, should be enough to let everybody know, to show everybody that she is not qualified to be president, period. Now, other black Georgians, a historically Democrat voting bloc in the crucial swing state, echoed Beauford's concerns, largely attributing their newfound support for Trump to the sky-high cost of living under the Biden-Harris administration. And that is a big key here, people. If you honestly believe that Kamala Harris is going to actually turn the page when she goes on places like The View and says she can't think of any reason or anything else that she would change, and yet come out and try to tell you that she is the change. You can't reconcile that, folks. You cannot reconcile the differences when you have the candidate who is basically saying, well, I will be the change. We are going to move forward. We're not going back. And yet, I have no idea what I would do differently. Yeah. That doesn't work. That doesn't work out. It really doesn't. It doesn't correlate. It doesn't match with itself. It doesn't, it's an oxymoron for them to think that, hey, I am the change that you need, but I'm not going to change anything. That's not right. That's not right. So anyway, Joseph Parker, another man, 72-year-old, who has never before cast a ballot for a Republican presidential candidate. Now, this is what it tells you. Said, quote, Trump is a man of his word. What he says he's going to do, he does. And everything is so high now. Groceries, high, clothes, everything, gas. And 4 years ago, it wasn't that high. And so people see the difference in Kamala Harris and Trump, and they want some of what they had 4 years ago. And I do too. That's right. The economy Inflation, obviously, the immigration problem, which she fostered, that's essentially what you'll end up with if we vote Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, Tampon Tim, lying, stolen valor Tim, into office. And even this young man, Samuel Kern, I'm going to call him a young man because honestly, he's younger than me. Samuel Kern, who's a 25-year-old who voted for Biden in 2020, said that he had to move back home after college because of the high cost of living under the Biden-Harris administration. Kern said of Trump, "I wouldn't say he's perfect or anything." True words. He said, "But he will get the job done. He's very talented in diplomatic relations with other countries with mutual respect." This is what Trump is. He's not perfect. He never said that he was going to be perfect. And in his personal life, he's had a lot of ups and downs. But he's perfect when it comes to his overall policies and prescriptions for the nation. That's what we're hiring him for. We're not hiring him for his personal things that he does in his personal life. No, we're hiring him to run the country like a company. We're hiring him to run the country like it should be run, with the idea of America first. That's what we're hiring him to do. We need to put him back in that office to get that again. We cannot do it without that being the case. All right. Now, a lot of what you are seeing with the Kamala Harris implosion, and yes, I am going to call it an implosion because every single time she opens her mouth extemporaneously, which I told you guys this multiple times, there was that whole stretch where 39, 40 days after she got named the heir apparent without a single primary vote, and I got to make sure I throw that in there because that's exactly what happened. She got selected, not elected by the people. She got selected to take Joe Biden off the plate. And she has been in a downward spiral ever since she opened up herself and went on to interview programs, even the friendly interview programs that came here, the friendly interview programs that would, kiss her butt and that kind of stuff. She still screwed those up. Now, how bad do you have to be in order to screw up when you're going to a friendly outlet? How bad do you have to be? Well, we're starting to notice the polls are starting to shift in our favor, and not like I'm really interested in polling necessarily because I'm not, but polls are starting to notice, and not just the betting ones here in the Daily Wire, not just the betting markets. Trump takes lead in battleground state polling. This is across the board, folks. Even if it's a small lead, like a 0.2 or a 0.1, even though it's a small lead, it's still a lead. It is still a lead. And Wisconsin actually became the latest state to start to move away from Kamala Harris. Former President Donald Trump has taken the lead over Vice President Kamala Harris across key battleground states in not just the betting markets, but also in the polls, looking at the 2024 White House race. On Thursday, Rasmussen Reports and American Thinks unveiled the results of a poll that showed Trump ahead of Harris 49-47 among likely voters in Wisconsin. After which, Real Clear Politics updated its poll tracker for the state to give Trump an overall 0.1 percentage point advantage. Harris had a better advantage than Trump in Wisconsin since the beginning of August, with a 0.2 percentage point lead as recently as Wednesday. As it turns out, Harris traveled to Wisconsin on Thursday for a number of campaign events. Michigan too. She's having some problems in Michigan as well. But anyway, here is an example of what I'm talking about. Here's the Real Clear polling average, and you can see this is the betting odds. Now, some people are like, "Oh, no, you can't depend upon the betting odds." Well, I'm sorry, but they actually have skin in the game. I don't really trust the polls, but I kind of trust these guys because they actually have skin in the game. They could owe money if they lose. And so this is kind of what I'm talking about. So according to all of the betting odds data that they have listed here from places like Bet Online, Betfair, Betson, oh boy, all of these, Polymarket, Smarkets, every single one of them is showing Trump in the lead. He is in the 50s, high 50s for just about everybody, with a 60 in PointsBet, over Kamala Harris being in the 40s. And if you look also too, let me see if I can do this. Here we go. You look also too in the Real Clear Politics electoral map. This is the electoral map that they are demonstrating right now from Real Clear Politics in terms of where she is going. As you can see, Wisconsin and Michigan got picked up in this thing. So in this this forecast, I guess we'll call it. Okay. So this is just this is some really good momentum here, folks. Don't look at this and think it's over. It's not over. Let's go vote. It's not over. We can make this happen, though. We can make this right here. We can make this happen. And we do it by banking our votes, getting our votes in, banking our votes, making sure that our votes are actually counted and taken care of. We have to do it. Have to. So keep going. If you go, take 10 friends with you, contact 10 people and say, "Hey, did you vote today?" And if they say no, bug them until they vote. Say, "Look, I'm gonna threaten you right now. If you don't vote, I'll hit you up in 24 hours. If you don't vote, then I'm gonna hit you up again in 48 hours. You've got to get out. Vote. We gotta vote. We gotta win this. We've got to win this. We got to win this." That's right. We have to. We have no other choice. We have to win. There is no going back. You're right, Kamala Harris. There's no going back. We're not going back to the last 4 years or 3.5 years, whatever it is. We're not going to do it. We're not going back. Can't go back to the same that we've had for the last 3 years. We've got to get change, and the change is Donald Trump. All right. Ooh, wow, I kind of got a little fired up there. I should have used my temperature gauge. I sometimes forget about some of the things that I've got. Oh, and yes, Bonnie, that is absolutely perfect. Bonnie says, like, "I told everyone you cannot complain if you do not vote." That is so apropos. Well, that is so apropos. Good call there, Bonnie. Good call. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look here. What picture are you talking about? If you're talking about the one that you posted, Mark, if you're talking about the one that you posted, I don't have it available right here. I'd have to go get it, and it would take me too long. All right. So, you remember that thing that I told you that they changed, the lies that this administration has been pushing both in the Bureau of Labor and Statistics and those kinds of things? Well, FBI, I told you adjusted their data without telling anybody, by the way, about adjusting their data. Well, apparently, at least according to Newsmax, right here, FBI defends revision of violent crime statistics. Well, yeah, you can defend it, sort of. But here's the thing. The way you defended it is exactly what all of the conservative folks in the biz and out of the biz have been trying to tell everyone. How did they say? Well, here it is. Here's their statement. And it was issued yesterday, by the way. The FBI stands behind each of our Crime in the Nation publications. In 2022, the estimated violent crime rate decreased 1.7% from 2021. The FBI's Uniform Crime Reporting Program transitioned, okay, listen to this, listen carefully, transitioned from the traditional summary reporting system to the more comprehensive National Incident-Based Reporting System for the 2021 data collection year. A significant number of agencies were unable to complete the transition to the NIBRS in 2021. Okay, that statement right there, right here, this statement. Sorry, I forgot to blow it up. This statement right here, where it says that the FBI's transitioned over. That's the key. A number of agencies were unable to complete the transition to the NIBRS. Well, guess what, folks? What does that tell you? That tells you that the data set is incomplete. And that's what I've told you on this program. That's what a bunch of other people have told you. The data set is incomplete. So the Democrats sitting here saying, well, the FBI says that crime stats are down. Yeah, they were down because reporting was screwed up. That things weren't being reported or even reported correctly. And that's the point. And then they go on and say this right underneath. Due to the lower volume of participation, the FBI was unable to produce the traditional national estimates for 2021. No, duh. Folks, this government lies to you. They lie to you because they want you to think that things are coming back, that things are going so well, and they're not. They're not. They are not going well under the Democrats, and the Democrats, the American people, I truly believe, are starting to wake up. And I think that's part of the reason why you're seeing some of the stuff that you're seeing, which is the early voting, the massive amount of people that are voting in places that are doing early voting. You know, these guys essentially stated that they didn't have the proper numbers. And then they continued and said that in 2022, the FBI resumed collecting the SRS data in addition to the NIBRS to present nationally representative data. In order to compile reliable estimates for the yearly trend, the FBI then used a statistical sampling of 2021 to augment the 2021 information collected via NIBRS for 2022. Yeah. Sure. The FBI then continued on and said last month's release of the 2023 crime data was the first phase. Here we go. Was the first phase in the FBI's efforts to provide the public with more timely data. The next phase will see a shift to monthly data releases to promote transparency and provide an opportunity for consumers to review data based on more timely crime counts, with the understanding that data will be continuously updated. So in other words, none of this is really going to be accurate until they get the entire data set in there, because things are going to shift, they're going to change, they're going to be added to. so on and so forth. Yeah. Yep. And then, of course, they continue with a few more other things that they're trying to excuse themselves. So basically what it is they screwed it up. They screwed up. They created a data set that is incompatible between the two, and then they have to kind of sort of fudge the numbers and yeah. Anyway. Well, folks, there is a fantastic opinion piece. Now, I don't know if anybody really follows this guy, but this Culturocidal, it's a Substack. It's a for those of you that aren't familiar, Substack is sort of a place where people can do kind of like blogging, but it's really more of, you know, short articles. And there are places where you can, in some places you can subscribe. I have a Substack account. I've just never done anything with it. I'm considering doing it in addition to this program and that kind of stuff. But a lot of podcasters and those kinds of folks, they go and they have these Substacks as well. Well, Culturocidal, or Culturecidal, is by a guy by the name of John Hawkins. And John Hawkins is he's a good writer. And he's got a lot of really good points, to point out in terms of the conservatives versus liberal movement. And this latest piece, and I have the link, by the way, in the show description. You can go and check it out. I think it's public, should be. But anyway, this one here, it's titled, "Liberals Tell You Government is the Solution to Everything, but Don't Care If It Works." And this is part of the problem. So Democrats constantly extol the virtues. This is one of the examples that he uses in this. He says, Democrats constantly extol the virtues of high-speed rail. Although in a country as large as America, it doesn't make much sense in most places. Arguably, one of the places it does make sense is in a state with a dense population, like California. But here's the problem. As they point out, in 2008, California voters approved a $9.95 billion, that's billion with a B, $1 billion of state bond funding, I should say, as seed money to build an 800-mile high-speed rail network connecting Los Angeles and San Francisco, as well as the Central Valley, to coastal cities at speeds of up to 220 miles per hour, with an expected completion date of 2020. But now, here we are 15 years after the initial bond issue, 3 years after the expected completion date, so it's actually now 4 years, not one train has actually left the station. Not one route has actually been completed, and even though nearly all of the $9.95 billion seed money has been spent. By the way, the original budget of about $33 billion for the entire 800-mile system is now inadequate to build just one singular route from Bakersfield to Merced, whose cost currently pencils out to about $207 million per mile. A cost that would almost certainly rise in the future, and for a route that may not even be ready for another 10 years or more, if at all. Folks, this is the problem. This is the problem that we have with these people. They seem to think that all of this wonderful stuff that they propose is going to work, and then they underbid or underestimate how much it's going to cost, because they know that if they tell people how much it's going to cost or how much it's going to take, how long it's going to take, nobody's going to want to do it. And that's the exact problem. They don't care. They just want government to tell you how to do your business, where to do your business, all of that. They want government totalitarian control. That's what they're looking for. Here's another example. Similarly, California has one of the worst homeless problems in America, and their response has been largely to bend over backwards and cater to the homeless. They've spent $24 billion doing this since 2019. So how is that working out? Well, since 2019, California has spent about $24 billion on homelessness, but in this 5-year period, homelessness has increased by about 30,000 to more than 181,000 estimated. Put differently, California spent the equivalent of about $160,000 per person based on that 2019 figure over the last 5 years. Now, we can continue this into the federal government programs. For an example, the Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, which she was supposed to be in charge of, by the way, $42 billion attempt to roll out high-speed internet to rural areas. Yeah, that fits the bill, right? He says. And one of Joe Biden's pledges upon entering office was to expand Americans' access to high-speed broadband internet. But despite putting billions of dollars to the task, tens of billions of dollars to the task, not one single person has been connected as a result. There you go. Contained within the 2021 infrastructure bill, the Broadband Equity, Access, and Deployment, known as BEAD, program, authorized more than $42 billion in grants to connect everyone in America to reliable, affordable, high-speed internet by the end of the decade. In 2021, the Biden administration got $42.45 billion from Congress to deploy this high-speed internet. Brendan Carr, a senior Republican commissioner for the FCC, wrote in a post on X earlier this month. Years later, it has not connected even one person with those funds. In fact, it now says that no construction projects will even start until 2025 at the earliest. And Elon Musk said, I could have taken half that and had everybody connected with Starlink in a matter of days. Okay, we can't continue to move forward with these kinds of programs, okay? We cannot continue to move forward with the spending. The spend. That's all the Democrats have wanted to do, is just spend. And that's all they're after. And they literally don't care. They just don't care. They just want to throw the money at it, and they don't give a shit. Pardon my language. They don't care if rent control drives up rent. They don't care if no bail laws and refusal of Soros-installed prosecutors charge criminals, forget to charge criminals, and that causes increase in crimes. They don't care about that. They obviously don't care about that. They didn't care about the defunding the police, causing the police to stop actually doing their jobs for fear that they were going to get prosecuted. They don't care that promoting the things that they do, the DEI and all of the other stuff that they've been promoting in the military weakens our military. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care about the fact that CRT being pushed in schools and all of the policies that they've pushed through the Department of Education for decades, we're talking 40 years or more, has done nothing to make our students smarter. In fact, it makes them not pass grade level exams, as we've seen in Chicago and Baltimore, where they can't even get an entire class of students to be able to pass grade level examinations in the basics, reading, writing, and arithmetic. They don't care. They just don't care. They just don't care. And this is the problem that we have here, people. This is why I keep saying, anyone who votes for Democrats after seeing all of this stuff that they essentially have laid waste to, anyone who continues to vote Democrat is a moron. All these feel-good policies that that the government, whether it's state government, local government, or even the federal government, which, by the way, the federal government, hello, they have a constitutional requirement. None of that stuff, DEI, CRT, even the Department of Education is not here in the Constitution. People are wondering why I'm holding up this fabulous Saddleback leather-bound U.S. Constitution. Well, it's because it's a great pocket guide. You can read it. It's easy. You'll figure it out. It's not that hard. It's not that difficult to learn. That's all coming up in this election. That's all coming up in this election. Okay? And speaking of this election, let me just tell you right now, we have shenanigans happening, and you remember that, speaking of shenanigans, do you remember that halfway sort of not really so sincere apology from Mr. Mark Zuckerberg about, we kind of suppressed information that we probably shouldn't have on Facebook. We're going to try and do better at that. Yeah. Right. Sure you are. Well, here's the proof. Listen, hot air, although this is coming to us thanks to James O'Keefe and his media group, OMG, O'Keefe Media Group. Meta Facebook engineer admits that the company is actually rigging the election. Wait, what? They're actually interfering in the election and he's admitting it. So what happened here was a senior Meta engineer was on a date. Now, why any of these leftists? I mean, these people really must be hard up. I'm just saying this because they've been able to get these people, even after like the first couple came out. I don't even know. I mean, I don't know. After the first couple came out, if you're doing something nefarious like this, why would you even accept a date anymore? But I digress. Anyway, this individual was apparently on a date. And his date was one of the undercover operatives for James O'Keefe's media group. And he basically admitted on video, and I'm not going to play it for you, but he basically, you can look it up. I mean, again, all the links are in the show notes. But apparently he admitted on video that any anti-Kamala Harris posts are automatically demoted. So he's totally admitting to shadow banning tactics. Now, James O'Keefe contacted the guy to request comments regarding the hidden camera footage. And upon hearing all the details, the guy basically said, F word, before quickly ending the call. He got caught. Yeah. You think that whole thing with Zuckerberg saying, oh, I apologize to the people. We're going to do better. Yeah, they don't give a shit. They don't care. They don't care. As long as it reaches their end goal, that's what they're looking to do. So I guarantee you what would happen if Kamala Harris and Tampon Tim, Stolen Valor Coward, Lying Walls gets into office. They'll go from doing it shadow banning wise into the open wise. It'll show up. I guarantee you, they all want to take out misinformation, what they consider misinformation. It's not misinformation, but that's what any kind of information that goes against what they tell you. Because again, they're the elites. We're the specials. You're the smellies. We're the special people. And we get to tell you how to live your life. It's just like John Kerry flying on that jet, his private jet. Oh, We gotta do climate change. I'm John Kerry, and we've gotta do climate change. Sorry, he sounds a lot like Lurch to me. But anyway, John Kerry would fly on his private jet to all the climate change meetings. Every single one of them. Burning more gas than everything else. Yeah. So, anyway. Point being is, yeah, Meta is still doing it, and they're not going to stop unless they get smacked. It's just basically it. They're not going to stop until they get smacked. So, yeah. All right. Also, too, in terms of more shenanigans, well, Judge Chutkan has released a second trove. This is redacted documents that were part of the appendices in the Jack Smith, unconstitutionally appointed Jack Smith trial in D.C. And, yeah. So Trump's legal team sought to delay its release until after the election. So this is all coming from the Epic Times. District of Columbia Judge Tanya Chutkan released a redacted version of the appendix to Special Counsel Jack Smith's immunity motion on October 18th. Now, keep in mind, okay, remember what I said, that Eli Honig was talking about. This isn't usual. This isn't normal. The Department of Justice actually has, and I showed you the policy, has a policy that basically says, okay, look, we shouldn't be doing anything that can potentially affect an election 60 to 90 days out when it comes to a candidate. And that's a policy. So, anyway, this particular thing, and this is where a lot of the left is getting all excited over. It doesn't really tell us anything. There's nearly 1,900 pages here, and large portions of the files themselves are sealed or redacted. Volume 1, according to Epic Times, consists of a series of interviews from the House Select or the House Unselect, if you listen to Donald Trump this morning on Dan Bongino's show. I highly recommend that you go and check that out on Rumble if you get a chance. Dan interviewed Donald Trump this morning. But anyway, live, by the way, sitting face to face. It was actually pretty cool. But Volume 1 consists of a series of interviews, while Volume 2 is mostly tweets from the former president. Again, nothing untoward on either one of these. Well, the series of interviews is kind of interesting because apparently the Unselect Committee stuff was all destroyed, remember? But anyway, Volumes 3 and 4 of this include a lot of publicly available information, including archived web pages from the White House, emails from the Trump-Pence campaign, and press releases. So in other words, nothing. Nothing. I mean, nothing new. They're doing this in order to affect the election. I guarantee you, that's what they're looking for. All right, folks. That is it for me for this evening. Do me a favor. If you haven't already, please head on over to rumble.com. Get yourself an account. It's free. I guarantee you, if I get kicked off of YouTube, Facebook, and X, although X is not quite as likely as it used to be under Jack Dorsey, but if I get kicked off of any one of those three, I will always be available on Rumble. So you should go and get your an account on Rumble. Go to rumble.com, sign in. It's free. And once there, make sure you follow the American Perspective channel and click that green follow button by doing it. That way, you will be notified every time I go live. Also, too, do me a favor as well. Before you take off, make sure you hit all those thumbs up buttons, those, likes and everything else before the program ends, because that, of course, elevates these videos. gets them to a much larger audience. I would love to see my following grow before the end of the year. That would be fantastic. We will see you tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your evening. And, oh, wait, I almost forgot. Today's Friday. So tomorrow is an hour later. So I told you the wrong hours. It's 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on Saturday nights. So 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow night on Saturdays. And we will see you tomorrow night. Then have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.
The previous broadcast was produced and is owned by Active Eye Media LLC. All rights reserved.